You've felt it. Maybe you can't explain it, but you know, life can't stay the same. Something inside is shifting. This is not just a video. This is a mirror. You'll walk through each stage of spiritual awakening, not just to learn, but to remember who you are, to see that your pain had purpose, that your silence was sacred, that your confusion was a seed of clarity. Let these words find you where you are. Let them guide you through the fog. Subscribe now if your soul is ready to return. You wake up, but not really. You move, speak, plan. But something's missing. You're reacting, not choosing. Living, but on autopilot. Thoughts run wild and you believe everyone. When you can't see the cage, you don't know you're trapped. This is the stage of full identification with the mind. You are your pain, your story, your fears. You defend illusions because they feel like identity. And slowly, you become the story you're trying to survive. The ego whispers, you're in control, while dragging you through storms it created. But behind every reaction is an unhealed wound it's hiding. You don't see others clearly. They're just mirrors for your projections. The less you know yourself, the more others disturb you. In this stage, life feels like it's happening to you. You blame, you defend, you fight for narratives that hurt you. And underneath it all, a quiet longing to breathe differently, to respond, not react, to see instead of judge. Here's the thing, most people live their entire lives in this fog. Their relationships, reflex, their choices, loops. But some feel a crack in the pattern, a flicker of awareness. The pain you avoid is the portal you've been praying for. This is not failure. It's the soil where awakening begins. Every trauma you carry becomes the pressure that cracks the shell. It's brutal. It's confusing. But it's divine architecture unfolding. Darkness is not the opposite of awakening. It's the womb of it. When you realize you're not your thoughts, the spell breaks. You pause before reacting. You question what you once obeyed. And that one moment is sacred, because it means the observer just woke up. You may feel unstable, lost, even terrified. That's okay. This isn't the end of who you are. It's the beginning of who you really are. Everything you cling to will be what holds you back. Let it fall. What's real will remain. Do you remember the first time you realized your thoughts were lying to you? That moment is where your real journey started. Speak it into the comments if you can. There's power in giving voice to the truth that cracked you open. Because once the illusion breaks, the fire begins to spread. You're not broken, you're just not numb anymore. And once awareness enters, you can't unsee, which means something new is coming. But first, the old self must dissolve. Are you ready for that fire? It doesn't feel like peace at first. It feels like collapse. Everything you believed about yourself begins to fall apart. You question your name, your roles, your purpose. And under the surface, something ancient starts to breathe. This is ego death. Not poetic, but surgical. The stories, masks, and titles you wore no longer fit. You're stripped of identity, left in a space that feels both empty and holy. Your mind screams for meaning, but your soul whispers, let go. The beliefs you clung to, about God, love, control, begin to dissolve. You realize they weren't truths. They were safety nets. And now that they've vanished, you're floating in the void. This void is not punishment. It's the pause between who you were and who you really are. In this stillness, a new awareness emerges, the observer. It's not loud. It doesn't argue. It just watches. It sees the ego spinning and doesn't follow the spiral. It knows you are not the storm. You are the sky. For the first time, you feel the split between reaction and presence. You notice the stories the mind creates and you stop believing them. The illusion of control crumbles, and weirdly, so does fear. Because you start to sense you've never needed to control anything. It's terrifying to lose everything you thought you were, but it's also liberating. There's no script to perform anymore. What dies here is not the real you, only the mask. And what's born is something wild, sacred, and free. If your world is falling apart, it means your false self is being dismantled. You're not lost, you're being disidentified. And while your ego grieves, your essence rises. Let the grief come. Let it burn the false down. You don't need to fix this moment. You need to feel it. Sit in the silence. Watch the ashes. And know this: what remains after ego death is real. The soul doesn't shout. It reappears in stillness. You're not the story. You're the presence watching it unfold. You're not your beliefs. You're the space they float in. You're not the voice of fear. You're the one who hears it. If you're dissolving, you're awakening. The ego says, you're dying. The soul says, you're returning. So let it all fall. Trust the collapse, because something holy is rebuilding you in the ruins. Now pause. What if this isn't the end but the passageway to truth? After the collapse, something stirs, an ache not of pain, but of hunger. You crave something real, not doctrine, not performance. Truth. You start asking questions no one taught you to ask. Why am I here? What is this life? Who is the one asking? This stage is a pilgrimage not of the feet, but of perception. You read, you meditate, you listen. Not to escape, but to remember. Books become portals, teachers become mirrors, and silence becomes your favorite sound. You're no longer looking for answers to feel safe. You're searching for the thread that connects the stars to your breath. The mind still tries to analyze, but the soul knows by resonance. That feeling, when something invisible clicks inside you, that's it. This isn't about religion, it's about revelation. You seek meaning that feels true in your bones, and when you find it, you don't memorize it. You dissolve into it. Truth isn't something you learn, it's something you remember. Spiritual practice becomes daily alchemy. Each meditation is a tuning fork, each prayer, a doorway. You begin to notice the unseen. Signs, synchronicities, shifts in frequency. Your life turns into a dialogue with the invisible, and the more you listen, the more the silence speaks. It teaches not through logic, but through presence. One sentence in a book can shatter your worldview. One breath can become a ceremony of remembrance. Pause and feel this for a second. What if truth doesn't need to be chased? What if it's always been inside you, waiting for your noise to quiet? The search is sacred, but not because of what it finds. It's sacred because it transforms the seeker. You may still doubt, still struggle, still fear. That's okay. This path isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming real. And the only way to become real is to shed what isn't. That shedding is what you used to call suffering. What if your longing is the compass of your soul? What if your search is your soul stretching out its hand? Don't rush this stage. Sit with it. Let it reshape you. Because soon you won't be chasing truth. You'll embody it. If something you once read or heard cracked you open, share it. That insight might be the seed someone else needs right now. And if you're feeling the pull deeper, just wait. Because the next stage won't just show you who you are. It'll ask you to live it. There comes a moment when pretending becomes unbearable. You feel the weight of every mask, every role, every should. You no longer want to perform. You want to exist. Not as a version of you, as you. This is the stage where the facade begins to fracture. What once kept you safe now feels like a prison. Smiling when you feel rage. Nodding when you mean no. The cost of inauthenticity becomes too high to pay. Your soul starts pulling threads, gently, but relentlessly. Relationships feel false. Careers feel misaligned. You can't explain it, but you know something's not right. And if you ignore it, your body starts speaking, louder than ever. Suddenly, truth feels more urgent than comfort. You begin walking away from what doesn't resonate, not out of anger, but out of reverence for your own essence. You start choosing alignment over approval, presence over performance. This stage can look like chaos from the outside. Jobs end, friendships fade, silence grows. But inside, something stunning is happening. Your soul is reclaiming its voice. The discomfort, it's the old self unraveling so the real you can breathe. Old wounds come to the surface, not to punish, but to purge. Your inner child, long silenced, begins to speak again. You feel emotions you've buried for lifetimes, and through them, you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Your energy shifts. Sensitivities awaken. Dreams become vivid. Intuition sharpens. You start to see through people's words and into their energy. You realize, truth isn't what they say, it's what you feel. This is the stage where identity transforms into essence. You no longer ask, who should I be? You ask, what have I been hiding from myself? And slowly, you start living the answer. By the way, if this part of the journey feels overwhelming, check this out. There are 14 subtle habits that secretly crush your vibration, and you may not even notice them. What if your pain isn't the obstacle? It's the alchemical key. What if every breakdown you feared was the exact initiation you needed? You're not losing your life. You're leaving the life that was never yours. And what's coming next is the version of you that remembers how to shine. Something shifts. You realize you're no longer walking alone. People start reflecting your own frequency back to you. Your presence changes rooms before your words do, and every interaction becomes a spiritual transmission. You begin to see the way others respond to you isn't random. It's resonance. It's reflection. It's your inner world mirrored. The more present you become, the more present the world feels. But there's a twist. People also reflect what you haven't healed yet. You notice judgment hiding behind smiles, anger wrapped in silence. And it stings, because deep down, it's your own shadows speaking. The universe isn't attacking you. It's revealing your fragments. And if you lean in, those moments become sacred laboratories of truth. In relationships, you start asking better questions. Not why are they doing this to me, but what is this showing me about me? Love becomes less about needing and more about seeing. True connection becomes a mirror for expansion, not escape. Then comes the silence, the magnetic kind. You no longer feel the need to speak to be understood. Your presence begins to ripple outward like an unseen wave, and the right people feel it, without words, without proof. Ever walked into a room and felt someone's energy before they spoke? That's who you're becoming now, a living frequency. You don't just carry wisdom, you broadcast it. Not with ego, but with embodied coherence. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being real. Your spiritual evolution is no longer private, it's relational. People feel your energy before they understand your language, and your nervous system becomes a tuning fork for the collective. By the way, most people have no idea they're lowering their vibration every day through unconscious habits. But there's a way to stop doing what drains you forever. Just saying, don't miss this. When your inner frequency is aligned, even your silence teaches. Your presence becomes the invitation for others to rise. And when they resist, it's not personal. It's the mirror cracking. Let it crack. Let it reveal. That's how the light gets in. You're not here to convince. You're here to transmit. And your relationships? They're now the dojo of your soul. Forget the temple. This is sacred work. This is where the real practice begins. So the question now is, what are you reflecting into the field? You wake up and something is quiet, not empty, harmonized. For the first time, your thoughts, feelings, and actions walk in the same direction. No more inner tug-of-war, just coherence. This isn't the end of challenges, but the end of inner resistance. You still feel everything, but now, you know what's yours and what's not. You respond instead of react. You observe without absorbing. You become the eye inside the storm, untouched, unshaken. Self-compassion becomes your compass. You stop punishing your past and start parenting your present. You forgive, not because they asked, but because you're done holding it. You realize every wound was a map, every mistake an alchemical recipe. You begin to treat yourself like sacred ground, and when the world doesn't understand that, you don't shrink, you shine. Not to be seen, but because dimming no longer feels like home. Your light stops asking for permission. Connection deepens, but with boundaries. You no longer chase, beg, or prove. You simply offer. And what aligns, stays. What doesn't, falls with grace. You let go not with bitterness but with blessing. You notice synchronicities increasing, messages in music, numbers, timing. It's not magic, it's resonance. You're tuned into the field where intention meets manifestation because your inside stopped betraying your outside. You begin to feel part of something larger, like your breath belongs to the forest, the trees, the wind, the silence between words. They all speak your language. You don't think you're connected, you live it. That's the difference between belief and embodiment. This stage isn't glamorous, it's gentle. No fireworks, no spotlight, just presence in every sip of tea. And in that presence, you find God in the ordinary. You no longer seek the divine. You recognize it. If you've ever felt this quiet joy, this grounded knowing, tell me, what does your alignment feel like? Comment below. And if this moment reminds you of someone who needs peace, someone searching for permission to be exactly who they are, send this to them, because the ones who shine the most are often the ones who've walked through the darkest forests. And now, you walk with light in your bones, not because life got easier, but because you became whole. You think awakening ends with light, but it ends with dishes. The deepest shift isn't cosmic, it's quiet. You return to the world, and everything looks the same, except you're not. You walk the same streets, talk to the same people, but the need to prove, preach, or perform is gone. You don't need others to see it. You feel it. And that is enough. Your spiritual identity dissolves. Robes, crystals, labels fade. Not because they were wrong, but because they're no longer you. You become the still point in the chaos, a sacred force hidden inside ordinary form. No more chasing signs. No more asking, what's next? You learn to breathe into traffic, find God in dirty laundry. Every moment becomes a place of return, not to heaven, but to presence. You stop needing to look spiritual. You become simple. That simplicity is the highest sophistication. It's not passive. It's potent. A calm that changes rooms before it speaks. People may not notice your transformation, but the field does. Life begins responding to your internal frequency, not with applause, but with synchronicity. You become the tuning fork for subtle miracles. You live in two worlds now, the visible and the felt. You meet noise with stillness, judgment with compassion. You're not above the world, you're rooted in it, invisible but undeniable. You start to realize this journey was never about escaping the world. It was about loving it with new eyes. Your pain wasn't the problem, it was the portal. And now, you're on the other side holding a quiet kind of light. Pause and feel this for a second. Isn't the real revolution when no one sees what changed, but you know it did? If this touched you, pass it on. Quiet transformations deserve to echo. Return is invisible, but irreversible. And you're the same presence, just no longer asleep in it. You've walked through the fire, but you carry water now, not to extinguish flames, but to help others bloom. No matter where you are right now, you're not behind. You're exactly where your soul needs to be. Each stage we explored is not a ladder, it's a spiral of becoming. Let this be your reminder. Every breakdown was a breakthrough, every silence, a sacred signal, and every moment of pain, a seed for expansion. Now it's time to walk with more presence, more clarity, and more trust in your own vibrational reality. Subscribe and leave a like if this video lit something inside you. Comment below. I know exactly where I am on my soul journey. Share this video with someone who's felt lost in their own awakening. Now that you see the spiral, step into the next phase. Watch the video where we reveal the 14 habits silently destroying your vibration.